Well, hello everyone. To tonight's webinar, we have a special guest, and I think you're going to find this testimony fascinating. I'll tell you a little more about him in a minute, but first I want to say that as I've mentioned before, that we will be giving away a Palm device. And we've changed a little bit in that we will be giving away the Palm Ultimate. And that's a $1,300 value. And for those that have joined, and I'm sorry, I've forgotten the name of the person that won last month, but next time we're on, we're going to tell you who that was. But they've already received the Palm Light and are pretty happy with winning it. So anybody who stays to the end of the webinar, or to the point in time where we say 8 o'clock, you are entered into the draw. And every week that you join us, it's another ballot in the box, so to speak. So tonight we got Bill Campbell, and I'll just read a little bit of it about his bio. A little easier doing it. And tonight we have somebody that has, maybe you've gone somewhere in the world, and he has been the one in the front seat. He is a pilot. And so here's a little more about him. So he's going to tell us a little bit about himself. I'm a very critical thinker, which made me an educator, not teacher. My first teaching job was when I was 14 years old, teaching accordion to other kids and a couple of adults. My second teaching job was swimming and diving at 17. Was I a good accordionist? Hell no. But I knew what I had to be learned and how to apply it. I was a good swimmer, you betcha. At 20 years old, I became a flight instructor as well as an airplane driver. I found my notch. From that point on, I taught every airplane I flew, from single engine to 747-400. I taught the first 747-400 class for United Airlines. I love teaching more than flying. Yes, that means I was a good talker. I also wrote training manuals, including most videos that were sent to pilots prior to training and for home study. If at 76 years old, with your guidance, I am sure I can perform well. So anyways, I am going to now, not quite yet, but I'm going to play our intro video. And then we're going to get on with Bill, to have Bill on. PBM stands for Photobiomodulation. Photo being light, bio being biology, and light, well, light coming from some kind of source. In this case, PBM is used to help stimulate healing in the body, whether it's an LED, whether it's a laser, whether it's a sun, but that light comes through the skin layers, and actually the cells are able to absorb that light, converting it to energy, and then there's a host of different processes that are stimulated because of that light. So you can speed up healing, you can do different things that is very beneficial for the cells themselves, for healing, for reduction of inflammation, and a host of other things. Kerber USA is a company that we have set up to promote healing for the US and around the world. We would like to see this technology help a lot of people. We use LED technology where we can provide high amounts of light into the body, and that stimulates healing. I'd like to introduce you to the SunPowerLED Palm Ultimate. This device here has the most power of the series of devices This light can produce a huge amount of light that can enter into the body and help speed up that healing. In this device, we have two different wavelengths. It's 660 nanometer, and as you can see, it's very bright, but it's very effective. You will cause a systemic effect with this wavelength of light. The other wavelength is 810. It's not very visible, but it penetrates very deep, and that can help as well reach the target that you're trying to reach. The main part about this light is that we have the power behind it and the large surface area that can reach very deep into the body. We believe that our product is the most powerful LED cluster under the sun. We have specification of this device of 150 milliwatts per square centimeter, and that is over this entire area of 40 square centimeters. It also provides a wall of light that comes through the skin and is able to reach depths that have never been able to be done before with other light products on the market. There's an interesting biblical passage in Malachi 4:2 that talks about the healing that comes from the rays of the sun. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to provide healing with these rays. PBM has also been shown in various studies to be able to help promote healing in wounds such as diabetic ulcers, venous ulcers, and other areas where cuts or burns or other types of wounds are on the skin level. If you have any questions about PBM and how our light device, the SunPowerLED Palm series, can help you, please reach out to us and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Well, I hope you enjoyed that intro. And now at this point in time, I get a chance to introduce our guest, Bill Campbell. And Bill, if you'd like to turn your video on and unmute yourself. Well, there we go. And unmute.
Good
There we go.
afternoon, Tom. How do you hear?
Good stuff. So, Bill, how did you end up finding out about our light technology?
Guidance in the right direction.
You said that right.
Would be the simplest way I could explain that.
Yeah.
One specific thing, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, is all hell broke out here with a problem with my wife. The first thing I'd like to have everybody recognize is that there are a few necessities for life on Earth. Water, we all think about, air, we all think about, but light, since it's been there since we opened our eyes, we don't consider that as much as we should. You can go out in the morning and see that beautiful rose that's blossoming, and you can smell it and you can enjoy it. And by the end of the day, as the light disappears, the sun, you can go out an hour later and see that the head just kind of droops down a little bit. So without light, that plant, one of which are many, do the same thing. They sleep at night, they rest, but without the sun, they won't rise again. So the study of PBM that I've researched shows different wavelengths and what each wavelength might do in the way of an LED, but all of those wavelengths are in the sun. Mm-hmm. And you totally benefit from that, as much sunlight as we possibly can. Today, most of us just sit in our office looking out the window, wishing we were there. Well, none of the rays of the sun are penetrating that because all windows are UV protected.
Yep.
So it doesn't benefit us as well as we should be to plant out in the garden and just stay outside.
Yeah.
Through research, I've noticed that most all light bulbs do not produce the energy that we used to have. The Edison twinkling light there was much more healthy than our LEDs today, which brought me into even deeper study, if you wish, of the the PBM.
Yep.
And with that, years ago, I have arthritis. I've had it for at least 25 years. The first place you go is the doctor down the street that knows the same thing that every other doctor knows, which is minimal, to say the least. And you get pills. Well, I took the pills and the pain went away for a little while. Then they stopped working. So I go back to the doctor and get another group of pills that, oh my gosh, these are the ones. All along, he was telling me he can't cure me. He can only help mediate the pain. Hey, that's great. All right. So I don't suffer as much. Then I noticed that I was having unusual bowel movements, stomach aches. I go back to the doctor. Oh yeah, well they have a habit of doing that. Well, he never told me that in the first place, so I got scared. All right, now I'm no longer scared. But this pill is the one you need. Okay. There's two letters in the alphabet I can say. BS. Nothing helped. A friend told me, well, go see a chiropractor. All right. So I went there and he told me I might be able to help, but I doubt it. Well, we did some treatments. There was some relief. Stiffness kept getting worse over the years. Swelling got worse. Movement of fingers got worse. Hips started hurting. Back started hurting. Back to the chiropractor. Bill, you shouldn't be carrying all those suitcases back and forth to the airplane and to the airports and then to the hotels. Well, I can't stop doing that. I got to eat.
Yep.
So he kept straightening me out. Well, back on the hands, I then found an acupuncturist, a true acupuncturist. Not a doctor that said he was an acupuncturist, but a true Chinese trained acupuncturist and herbalist. I got some relief. Doesn't last. 9. Well, years later, I found an article on what light therapy was doing. I think in those days they called it low-level light.
Low-level light therapy or low-level laser therapy. Yes.
Well, it was light therapy.
Okay.
I
LLLT. Yeah.
Okay. So I read that and said, oh my gosh, maybe this will last, not cure, but relieve the pain and last longer than a hot water bottle. All right. So I run off to Walmart and buy their most expensive, very cheap in comparison to today's high technology. Well, I decided I better go back to the hot water bottle. That light was, it wasn't even candle power.
Mhm.
All right, well, now what? Forget it. I'll quit playing my musical instruments or quit playing as long so that I don't have to disrupt my fingers. About a year ago, my wife was diagnosed with cancer. Back to studying. I would assume I studied 20 hours a day for 6 months. We had gone to oncologists, same procedures. We'll cut it up, we'll burn it up. And if that doesn't take care of you, then we'll give you drugs. I would have rather gone to Las Vegas. The odds that she was given or is given, I had a better chance of winning in Vegas. Back to studying. What are the alternatives? Well, nutrition was one that was big or is big and should be applied in a dangerous situation like that. Well, I'll make that a short part of the story. Through my studies, through my research, I came across your device. Immediately, I'll compare my Walmart special. It didn't work. Why would yours work? More study. Oh, the reason this one did not work is it's not the right frequencies. Hell, it doesn't have enough power to light my cigarette. It doesn't go deep enough in the tissue. It just reflects off of it. It's like a mirror. Well, the Amazon special, which was more, had the same effect. I could put it in the mirror and it wouldn't even illuminate the mirror well enough to see this ugly mug. I'm on the most unwanted list. So I made a phone call to you. We talked. We didn't talk. We even said a prayer. Well, I'll tell you about a prayer here in a minute. So we talked it over with Vicky. In the just before doing this, we had gone to finally a dentist that was willing to pull one of her bad teeth only because of the growth. You can't pull it. It had to be surgically removed. He removed it surgically. Very painful. All right, now I've contacted you. I had talked to that dentist about red light therapy. Young guy. He said, yeah, I've heard about it. I said, well, do you do it? He said, no. Take special training. Uh-oh. Well, he uses LED, or they use LEDs, lasers, not LEDs for this type of operation. Other dentists use LEDs to do minor, what I call minor work on teeth. We traced her origination to mercury fillings, which had not been removed. We were young and stupid and just threw that garbage away. That's just a way for a dentist to make more money. We should have had the mercury removed. So after talking to you, after talking with Vicky, I mean, I've been with her 60 years.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and married for 51. The first 9 years was, I don't know about this.
We better not go there.
That's right. That's another trail. And we sat and we talked. The dentist had told us something to the effect that you better throw the toilet at it, not just the kitchen sink. All right, so I had already been doing herbs. I had already done some nutrition work. Well, we did. I shouldn't say I. I was the researcher. She was the guinea pig. All right, we started with your home device, the rescue, as well as the probe. Thus far, we have gotten some very positive results. I'm not going to go into everything on that. She doesn't want me to. I've given you a little bit of history. All right. During the process of me pretending I'm a doctor, but not acting like one, there are other cures available if people will just ask. Standard pharmaceuticals on some diseases will never cure. They're man-made. They're not God-made. All right. So during the process of using this, as you can see, my left hand, my fingers kind of overlap to get the right positioning. This hand, these fingers are over the fan. After maybe 13, 14 treatments, I was sitting here studying and even typing some notes on that particular treatment. My fingers went to here, and I'm thinking, and I felt something. These fingers in the left hand at the tips were warmer than these. I looked at Vic. I got out of my chair and I walked over and put my right hand on her arm, and she jumps. Why do you do that? Your hands are always so cold. And I took my left hand and put it on her arm. So what's going on? What did you do? What did you do? Your fingers are warmer.
Yeah. Blood flow.
And I come back, and with my knowledge, I sit back and I'm doing this again, and I'm saying, must be more blood in that. I can't feel it, but I can feel the temperature. 3 to 4 degrees warmer. Oh, so the light, it's not the fan, because I don't even hold it that way, because I thought it was the fan. Holy cow. For 20 years, my hands have been cold. I said, okay. It's not that it has nothing to do then, because the fan isn't working. I'm not holding it with that. Every morning for 20 years, I was getting out of bed, going into the bathroom, and warming my hands under the hot water prior to touching myself. After I recognized all of this, the next morning I woke up and did this. Boom, boom. This hand was warmer. this doesn't make sense. I'm that stupid. I go in, I warm my hands, I do my job, I go out, I do some things in the garage. Dumbass. It hits me. Circulation. I come in, I get on the computer. Now I've got 2 3-inch binders of typed information that I've researched so that I can reference it. I go back into the PBM stuff and, oh yeah, increases blood flow. No poo-poo up here. All right, so I make my left hand the guinea pig. Is this really working? I haven't treated my right hand yet. This hand is warmer. This hand is easier to move. My fingers are back to feeling damn near normal. This one is a little bit tight, a little bit sore. I haven't touched a musical instrument yet. I want to find out how much this light did for my left hand. I can feel my fingertips right now, and there is a difference in texture. Smoother, rougher. Skin condition, age spots are disappearing. Using the probe after I treat my hand, and I'll tell you how I treat my hand. I use the palm this way. I'm covering fingertips. Then I move it up to here, and I'm doing that. And then I'm up to here, and I'm over to here, and I'm over to here, using 660 at 4 minutes in each spot, then 810 at 5 minutes. Same way. This hand moves. This hand wants to, but is tighter. Is after I move this one, I can move this one 5 times longer. I'm not impressed. I've been treated with a gift. Gift of old age and aches and pains, but a chance to make them less and possibly cure my wife. It's yours. It's your device. Why is it different? The frequency. Most studied, of course, whether it be the 660 or the 810, at the proper amount of power. Without power, nothing happens. Without the power of the sun, nothing happens. Do I recommend it? I don't know if it'll work for everybody, but if it works for this dumb fill in the blank, it'll probably work for other people. I just wish I could let everybody know. If this helps Vicky, you can be guaranteed I've got a dentist that wants training, needs training. And it's not the standard schooling. Doctors have to get out of the box. They're controlled. Their hands are tied. They have to do standard protocol. Who writes the standard protocol? Drug companies. The largest employer in the state of Colorado, I have been told, is UC Health. All the hospitals, all the doctors, all the nurses. Oh my God, they do have a lot of people there. Do I recommend them? Yeah, if I got in a motorcycle crash and cut my arm off, I'd probably go have somebody suture it back on. But UC Health controls the University of Colorado Medical School, owned by a drug company.
Wow, this is a beautiful story, Bill. And wait till you are able to use it. I know you used one hand as a control. You got to find out. You got to test it.
Oh yeah,
And
it's the guinea pig is loving it. This one ain't. And I
yeah,
want to start right away and start treating the other hand, but I'm not going to. I want to see how, not just how long, but how well
yeah,
it outperforms my favorite hand, my my God-given right-handedness.
yeah.
Suffer. Wait for it, and you can even see it wiggle a little bit. This one does not.
Mm. Well, this is beautiful. Well, now we're going to go into, I tell you what, people are going to probably want to ask some questions. And so what we're going to do, Bill, is we're going to have you come back on in just a bit, but I'm going to do my normal commercial on the products to help people to know how to use our device or know a little bit more about our devices. And just in a little bit, we'll come back on. So I'll just show you, the light devices here. And I realized we don't have the power supply, but I forgot to bring it in. Okay. Anyways, we have several different Palm units. The Palm, I have the Palm Professional, and it has the two wavelengths, 660 and 810. And then we have the Palm Ultimate, which is 660 and 810 as well, but it's like 25% more power. And then we have the Super Palm, which is the 660 and 1050. And that basically is used wherever to treat on the body. And that's our Palm line. Now, why do we have the 1050 nanometer? Turns out that the 1050 nanometer can penetrate a little bit deeper, and it's a more expensive LED technology. So it's a more expensive device. So we have the good, better, best, so to speak, of Palm devices. So we have those. And I just want to just mention, so although these Palm devices are newer over the last 4 years, I've actually been involved with PBM now for over 15 years now. This was one of my first Palm devices, or Palm devices. Doesn't look like a Palm device. It's a pretty heavy device. I had patents on it, and we saw people improve from severe pain with this device. And this has the same type of optical power as the Palm lights that we have, and people would treat for migraines, for diabetic ulcers, for all different kinds of things with this. But as you can see, this is a whole lot lighter and easier to use. So so we had this around for starting 15 years ago is when I developed the first light, and was able to see how much improvement we were able to see with in people's lives, whether it was injuries of different kinds to all different conditions in the body. And I made different versions of that. That was a special halogen bulb technology where we used liquid filtering, and the liquid filtering is based on a theory from, actually it's a biblical theory where there's a layer of water. It says in Genesis, it says it separated the waters from the water and called the space sky. Well, that meant water was up here in front, in above us and so the sunlight was actually filtered through that. And it was at one of these points in time I thought, well, I'll try that. And I put a layer of water in front of the halogen bulb, took all the heat away, but what it did allow for the light, basically the same type of light that comes from the sun, to get through that layer of water, take away all the heat. So now this thing could be right up top, right against the skin. So I did name the product Genesis Health Light, because that's where I got the idea. But that was well before LEDs had the power they have now. And not only that, the LEDs at that time were very expensive. It was $70 an LED. So if we're talking, trying to have a 100-watt light bulb, it would cost you $300 for that $100 light bulb. Nobody would want one of those bulbs. But when it came to halogen, that was the best way of producing that high amount of energy in the wavelengths that we need. Now LEDs light stadiums, light cities, and that's all because of the technology advancement over the last 15 years. And so we've adopted that type of LED technology in all our devices. And the thing is, as Bill pointed out, the amount of optical power, or the power behind it, is what's necessary to penetrate into the body, into the skin, through the skin, down into the joints, and depends on the wavelength as well. So we will be answering questions in a few minutes here, but I just thought I'd show you this is our mini canopy. It's about, just to give you an idea, it's about 12 inches by about 10. And it is the equivalent of 15 of the palm lights going across, 15 times the energy of one of these palm lights and 15 times the area. So now you can treat a large area of the body with this device. And there's the one wavelength. Now it's very hard to see. You can kind of see that little bit of a purplish look. The light is kind of making it difficult to see. And there's the other wavelength of the 660 nanometer. That's our palm light. And then we have the, palm light, the mini, what we call the mini canopy. And then we have our helmet. And the helmet is a device that allows me to have the same type of thing. You just put that down on top of the head, and it has the one wavelength of 660 and the other wavelength of 810 nanometer. So that's the palm light, the helmet, and we've been able to incorporate the same type of optical power that we have in these, only there's 10 of them that are located all around the head. That's why you heard there's a fan, because the fan cools all the devices that we have, whether it's in this smaller palm, whether it's a mini canopy, whether it's a helmet. And I've got patent pendings on the development of the heat that's removed from these devices, so that we can have a high amount of energy from that light device, and that can get into the body and help heal. With the helmet, it's really neat. We had, I've shown the video. There's some great videos on our website on SunPowerLED.com. As you see in the back here, if you go to our past videos, you'll see different webinars that we've had. But in particular, I'd like to point out that as far as the webinars, there's one real neat one just recently that we put up called Tyson's Recovery. And Tyson had fallen in sports in a church basement and fell flat on his forehead on the concrete. And at this very moment that he fell, another kid fell on top of his head. So he really hit hard the concrete. Well, he was having all of the concussion symptoms. They took him into the hospital right away. He had no memory of the event whatsoever. He was repeating himself. His parents, he'd say, well, why does my head hurt? It hurts so much. And they tell him, well, you just had this, you smacked your head on the concrete, and that's what happened. And 2 minutes later, he'd say, why does my head hurt? And he did that for almost 24 hours of just keep asking his parents why. They say he must have done that hundreds of times, asking him what happened. So he did the light. One day he's also an avid reader, and at the age of 12, he loves to read books, and he couldn't read a sentence without having an immediate breakout of a headache. And so he got the light treatment. That was with that helmet, 1 minute of the bright red of 660 nanometer, and 3 minutes of the 810 nanometer, which penetrates a lot deeper. And the very next day, he was able to read a book. And right after the treatment, even, his headache went away. So he was able to see very quickly a change from a nasty concussion to being able to see the next day, most of all the symptoms gone, and another 2 days later to get one more treatment and pretty much return to normal after that. And he did one more treatment after that, another 2 days later, and totally normal kid. And we've seen that with other people and strokes and that. So the light can be used on different parts of the body, whether it's a helmet or we've got people with diabetic ulcers that have saved their legs from being amputated. We also have we're raising funds for sending equipment because this can help it makes such a big difference in healing. It can speed up the healing time tremendously when it comes to with different types of injuries, including burns. And so we're sending equipment to Israel, and our hopes is that very soon we'll be able to be cleared to have that equipment get into the hospitals and for civilians and kids and soldiers, everybody, to be able to receive treatments from the war that's going on. So you just go to our website, go to SunPowerLED, and on the top there's a banner. It will be back up again so that people can donate there. But anyways, we're going to get into questions now. So I'm going to put my glasses on. So we're going to start with, Bill, we'd like you to come back on in case, and I'll get you to answer a question when we got something that comes up here, but I'm going to go up for the ones that we, okay. Jacqueline is asking about a device called the terahertz wand. Yeah, I'm not so sure. And again, it comes back to optical power. It's very, very important, Jacqueline, as far as to have enough energy to go into the area. And I've seen different products out there. I won't go into detail about this, but there's a lot of fairy dust around some devices out there, claiming to do all sorts of things. and they'll say, things that are just a lot of imagination. So can PBM be used on 13-year-old granddaughter who plays soccer and baseball and ends up with aches and pains? Absolutely. I've been able to see my granddaughters and grandson being able to use this for different things, and much younger. And the healing, I mean, kids can heal fast anyways, but you add light like this, and you can really help them out. So thank you, Jacqueline, for your questions. Emily's asking, can you cover the intraoral device, please? Oh, can I cover? Okay, mention about it. Yes, we can. I believe I've got one. Yes, I do, back here. So the intraoral device is a device that Bill's using there. And what we've done is we've added this intraoral, it's a probe that goes onto the front of the unit. And with that, we then can go into the inside and apply the light through the tube and get it down into the back areas. And that works quite well for getting the light there. And what we're doing is we're capturing the energy from one of the LEDs and putting it down to the tube. And that's quite a considerable amount of light. Matter of fact, one of the lasers out there is about the same amount of energy, but the just coming similar as far as the amount of energy coming out of the tube. And their unit runs about $3,000 for their laser probe. And well, you can get a more economical unit, but still medical grade with what we've done with LEDs. More recently, we did a study that we're going to be publishing on how we used a spherical, it's called a spherical culminator. That's a big ball that's reflective inside, and we have sensors inside that ball. Well, there's an opening at the top and that top only has that opening. Everything's totally dark inside this ball, and only light that penetrates through that little opening will be measured. So it doesn't matter whether that's a laser device coming, sourcing the light, or whether it's our device. And what we did is on top, we put 1 stake, 2 stake, and 3 stakes thick on top of that opening, and put our light on top of that. And what we were able to prove from that is we could measure how much light drops as you go through more tissue. And we did that with steak, we did that with pork chops, and we did that with chicken. So all different kinds. Now I realize that's all dead. Our bodies are alive, so there's more things that are going through, some blood in that. But when we're talking 660 nanometer, yes, it does get absorbed by the blood. But when you go up to 810, the wavelengths can go deep through that. It's very important with our devices that we have both wavelengths. We have the 660 nanometer, which can really help the blood flow through the area, as Bill pointed out. And because it gets absorbed through in the blood, and the blood carries, through the whole area. There's a release of nitric oxide, which is a vasodilator, so it allows more blood to go through the area. So that is what a person can do for their hands, or anywhere in their body. They can use both wavelengths of 660 and 810. And I've got other videos on yep, exactly. One of the persons that used this light actually went to my landlord's house, and they brought some friends over who had bought one of these lights, and the woman named Judy, she says, "Hey, will this help my tooth? I'm going to take some painkillers because I got so much pain in my tooth." In her case, she didn't even use that. I says, "Well, just do this for like 7-8 minutes, give it a shot." And like 7-8 minutes in, she says, "The pain's gone." And it was funny because my landlord, to treat the lymph nodes, really, really important. Bill, you're right on. Bill has done a lot of research on this. I mean, you have to do a lot of research when you're a pilot to know what you're talking about when you're flying planes, and you got a lot of stuff going on. So he's just switched his research bases to looking in light, and he's helping himself. He's helping his wife.
Enlightened.
Yeah. So although we can't claim anything here, we're not medical doctors. We don't know anything, according to many people in the medical profession, but we have done a lot of work
Especially
in this
Pfizer.
area, and it works. Right, Bill? It's beautiful how it works.
I also use it in the nose to treat the upper lymphatic area.
Right. Yep.
Front of the ear.
Yep.
Down the neck. I'm trying to get that lymph to drain all of the bad stuff.
Right.
That she may have.
Yep. Yep. That's the lymph node. The lymphatic system has to work well for your body to drain out it's kind of like a septic system. You need that septic system to be unplugged and running well. Have it plugged, and you find out what it's like in the house if it's plugged. So this is the septic system of the body, is the lymphatic system. So,
that's right.
All right. Linda's asking, I'm wondering where to find info on what power and how long to treat their various parts. Is there an instruction manual with general treatment details? Yes, there is. We do have that on our website, and Jennifer will connect you with the link to get that information of the manuals. And as well, there's a lot of information that we have on on these webinars that we do. We teach a lot of stuff. Are there any units in our Canadian hospitals? Well, how I wish. Have they ended up in the hospital without them knowing? Yes. But as far as having, even in the US, it's pretty sad. There's a wound care facility in New York, and they were able to show how well this helps with wound healing from diabetic wounds. And they were all ready to go and buy one of the palm lights, and somehow upper management decided that wasn't a good idea to bring one of these into the
Big
hospital.
pharma controlled.
It's pretty sad. It's pretty sad. Jacqueline is asking, will helmet help with hair loss? Yes, it will. It'll help unless the hair follicles are totally dead. It's possible to get the hair to grow. That's one of the earliest things they found, was that this could help with hair growth. And as a matter of fact, one of the fellows that has had seizures, and he's used the light on his head where they know that there's a lesion on his brain, and he was dealing with seizures. He's a professor associate professor at University of Buffalo. He started using, like, after he got the first treatments with laser, he was free of seizures for 2 years, and then they came back again. And the time it came back was during COVID. And so the other professor suggested, look, get one of Tom's lights and start using it. So he's been using it every day on that area, and his seizure stopped, and he has been seizure free for 2.5 years. And so there's seizures, migraines, and a number of things like that have been helped significantly with the light into the brain. And we just finished a wrap up of 3 webinars. Please go back to our webinars, past events, and it was taught. There was a significant amount of teaching on light on the brain, and so it works very well. Emily was asking, are there seizure precautions with LED? Not in this case. Like, as far as where there is if you had flashing LED lights in the house, that's not good. Like some very, very poor quality LED stuff has got flashing. We don't have any flashing. This is a very, very continuous wave with no flashing out of it. Also, no EMF off this device either. So it's very, very, very safe when it's used on the brain. We've had people helped with tinnitus, and they use it like 1 minute of the red, 3 minutes of the near infrared, and they've been able to improve their situation that way. Jacqueline's asking, let's see. Boy, you got good questions here, Jacqueline. How do you switch from 1 nanometer to the other nanometer? Okay, so both, just one clarity, both powers out of the device, whether it's the 660 or the 810, one looks like really, really bright. That's the 660. And the other one is 810 or 1050. 810, you just see a glow coming off the unit. And when it comes to 1050, you can't see it all. All you see is one little red indicator on there. You switch that. Thank you, Bill. You just switch that little switch up for the 810 or 1050. You switch it down for the 660. So that's how you get the 2 different wavelengths. But they're both very powerful. But I say, just to remember, dim or invisible is deeper. Dim is deeper. So when you just kind of put that in your mind. So if you're trying to treat something in the hip, you're going to have to spend a lot more time. So you spend 3/4 of your time with the invisible or the dim setting so that you can penetrate much deeper. You still want to use the bright red for a little bit because it stimulates the blood, and that is extremely important. And you're going to also use that for your lymphatic system, because the lymph nodes is fairly shallow to the body. So they're usually very close to the skin surface. So the 660 has no problem going there.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. The talk you just said, by selecting either 660 or 810 or even 1050, is very important because most devices that are available on the market may have 660 and or 810, but there's never an or. You get
Right.
them both. So the power is shared, which you never get enough power then by either wavelength.
Right, right. Yeah, so you want to, that's what we do with our device. We have all the power at 660 nanometer or all the power at 810. We don't mix them together and cheap out and use half the LEDs for 660 and 810. You want to, when you're doing 660, you want as much power as you can get to do the job. When you want to use 810, so that's why we have a lot more LEDs in our device, powerful LEDs to do the job, is because we double our LEDs by that. Yeah.
And an LED per wavelength, not a double-headed LED.
Yeah, exactly. Because they have to drop the power to be able to run both LEDs at both wavelengths at the same time.
They share the power.
Yeah, you got that. You got that right on. And most of them don't have not only the power density, but also they don't have the number of LEDs per we come up with a new term, a new rating, which is how many high power LEDs do you get per 100 square centimeters, which is roughly 4 inches by 4 inches. And how many LEDs is in that area? And some manufacturers, they make some pretty wild claims, and then they've got, like, we have 25 LEDs per 100 square centimeters, and they're down to 5 or 3. And then that's the other thing, we spread our light over the whole area, so we got very, very uniform light out of the device, whereas most other devices, they put a lens on it, so they're trying to show how bright they are. Do we have? Yeah, we have this device here. This is quite typical. As you can see, they alternate the wavelengths, and then there's only power at those little spots. It's not continuous like the light that we have coming out of our device. So this is pretty typical, but no way in the world does that compare to the number of LEDs that we have, high power LEDs, and the cooling that we have to have in our device. So that just gives you, and there's quite a few different panel manufacturers that have big panels and everything. But when it comes right down to it, you come down to how many LEDs do you have? So this, like high power LEDs. Now they may have 100 high power LEDs. Well, we got 150, but our 150 is spread over this square inch, this area, and they'll have the other 100 LEDs spread over 5 feet. So there's no way, that you're getting the energy per square centimeter. So the tightness, the energy that you need
The
to,
horsepower.
yeah. Okay, we're almost finished here. Yes. So there's an anonymous person here. Hi, anonymous. Have you had have you had experience with the palm units treating Dupuytren's contracture? Yes. So one of the that's where you have your tendons start tightening up in your hands, and you can't start moving your hands out. Well, I just got a short story on that. One of the chiropractors, I said, look, it's really, really important that you use both wavelengths in your chiropractic use. And he called me back. It was a few months later, and he said, I had this experience with this exact problem with this fellow, and his hands were curled up. And one hand, he still had some use of it. The other hand was pretty, almost, down to bare bones of not being able to work very well. And so he says, I used the light, and he says, after 6 weeks or whatever, there was so like a fair amount of improvement, but then it leveled off. He said, and I didn't see any further improvement for a while. And then he says, I remembered what you said about the fact that the 810 nanometer is good. So he says, I just thought the 660 is so bright. So he thought, I'm going to use that only. And that's what he did. He didn't think very much of the 810. Well, when he started using the 810 on this fellow's hand, the fellow's hand was totally restored in one hand, and the other hand was on its way. That's when he called me. So both wavelengths are very, very important. Melissa,
Necessary.
yeah. Melissa has a question here. I have used topically for sinus areas for teeth issues and helps, or I have just pulled cheek back and aimed it at the gum area. There you go. My mom, she says, I had this really bad problem inside my mouth. And she says, I opened my mouth up wide and I've been treating it. And she says it helps. So anyways, pulled it back for the gum area. Lymphatic neck definitely helps that as well, as Bill just said. Also, my 14-year-old has almost instant results with any basketball injuries, mild as compared to my 50-year-old body. He was convinced that he broke his finger. I knew he jammed it. One treatment. It feels almost normal now. Yeah, we have seen really, really neat stuff happen with, and the key is to be treating it right away, like as soon as it happens. As a matter of fact, if you're going to be doing sports and you know you're maybe something to do with your hands, you should be pre-treating your hands, because you'll do far better than if you waited till after. And that's, dentists are doing that too. When they do molar extraction, they'll do the light treatment before they actually remove the tooth. So that's really important. Okay, so two more questions and we'll call it quits here. Thank you everyone for joining us to this point. We're just going to finish up with these last two. Valerie is asking, how is 1050 different from 810 and its effects? That's a deeper answer, but the 1050 has the potential to penetrate a little bit deeper. And that's one of the things. And there's some other research that's ongoing about what's called structured water. And the 1050 has the potential to do something in that range, to actually do something with water. It's very, very interesting. And there's fluid in your water in your body. As you know, people know that there's water and fluid flow in the body, and it can help that. So that's from Valerie. And Maria says, we are happy in Colombia with this unit, which is a blessing. Well, thank you for joining us, Maria from Colombia. I know we've had people join us from England, from different parts of the world, including out in Alaska, which is still part of Alaska and Hawaii. So thank you everyone for joining us tonight. And I wish the richest blessings on your life as you learn how this beautiful, I say God created light, how this beautiful light can make such a difference on the human body in its healing. I mean, you see plants using that light, as Bill pointed out, to grow. And all we need to do is shut that light off, and you can see how long a plant lives, and it's not very long. Well, we need light too. And as a matter of fact, absolutely, get outdoors. Ultraviolet B, which creates vitamin D, comes from the sun, but you can't get it on the other side of a window. So be outside, get sun exposure, and you can get sun exposure through our SunPowerLED. Well, good night, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I hope you have a great week. Please join us next week, and we'll have another special guest on. Thank you so much, Bill, for joining us and sharing
God bless.
a bit of your life with us and how it's helping you and your wife. Thank you.
God bless to everybody.
Thank you very much. Okay, bye, everyone.